Match number 40 in the IPL, and it promises to be a manic Monday. That's because these two teams just played a day before and after a day's gap are back on the field. For Delhi, even worse so, just about 43 hours later, they're back on the cricket pitch. Rajasthan played a little earlier than that. So it's Rajasthan hosting Delhi, but I think for the first time, the visiting team, which is not the home team, might just be happy because Delhi have done rather well playing away from home and not so much when they're playing at home. Today, they're playing in Jaipur, and we've got all the bases covered in Ajit Agarkar and Sean Tate. We've got a former Rajasthan Royals and a former Delhi Daredevil, the erstwhile Delhi Capitals. Okay, we just got news from Jaipur where it is Delhi Capitals that have won the toss and decided to bowl, so they will be chasing. Interesting bit on that. I would say it's interesting because Delhi, yes, they won the last match chasing, but we've seen every time they've chased, they've had a mini collapse or so.
Yeah, but they seem to be getting better. Or more guys contributing, more players in form. Shreyas has had a couple of good innings as well. Yeah, they'll have to bat well under pressure. Hopefully, they don't have to chase too many. But we've seen throughout the course of this competition, not many teams want to bat first, set a total, not quite sure what would be enough, and that's been the trend throughout the course of this IPL.
What about Rajasthan? Last time around, they won after that gap of a few losses, chasing. This time, they'd have to bat first.
Yeah, they're going to have to bat first. I don't think Smith seems to mind. He said the wicket looks pretty good, or looks good, compared to some of the wickets they've played on. So,
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it is a good batting track and we get a good game in. And yeah, I think the Rajasthan take a lot of confidence out of that last win. It looked a better setup, the team. So hopefully they take some confidence out of that and play against Delhi, who are a pretty good side at the moment.
Okay, we'll take a look at the playing 11. If there are any changes in both the squads, we'll start with Delhi. And no, this is Rajasthan, I beg your pardon. No changes for them. Ajit, one would have expected the only one possibly could have been get Tripathi back. He had a good game the game before they won the game. Ajinkya Rahane not really having a great run.
Yeah, but I mean, with Ajinkya, captain couple of games before this, you can't. I mean, in one innings, you don't. He's not had a great IPL. I'm sure he knows, but he's one of those guys. India international. He's done well before for Rajasthan. So I don't think in one game you would want to discard him, especially after you've already taken the captaincy away from him, which I think was not the worst move. I think Steve Smith's a really good captain. So. That's the one thing that Rajasthan Royals would want, his form. If he can bat, maybe he can anchor that innings, but still the strike rate's got to improve. But his form, he'd want to get some runs, but not. It was too early to drop him.
One thought that the reason they may have changed the captain is because they were looking to have Ajinkya out of the playing 11, but that clearly hasn't happened.
I didn't think that was the case, to be honest. I honestly thought that let him flourish as a non-captain in his batting, leave him in the team, because he will make runs eventually. I mean, he hasn't got the load on his shoulders of being the skipper. To me, it just looked like, Steve Smith, he knows his game as captain. He bats better when he's captain, by the way. But just the way he does his bowlers, he works through his field placements. He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
And being a captain, Ajinkya, when the team's not doing well, losing, takes a lot more out of you. Because you've got to worry about so many other things that maybe takes a little bit of focus out of your batting. Which,
as someone who's
Smith's
seen Ajinkya for a very long time, do you think that is what will really help him free his mind and perform better?
I mean, that'll be the thing that Rajasthan's hoping for, that Rajasthan Royals...
but do you see any merit in that?
Yeah, I mean, there's the one thing now he has to worry about is his batting. Watch the ball that's coming from the other end and try to score off it. So, not have to worry about team selections, not have to worry about which bowler is going to bowl a particular over in the game. Field placement there, he'll obviously give suggestions, having been in the job to Steve Smith, but it's not his job to worry anymore. He can sometimes just, not sometimes, actually worry about his batting.
Sorry, you want to make a point?
No, I was just saying, Smith's used to it. Yeah. He's captain, ball tampering saga, fine, we all know. But he captained Australia pretty successfully for a decent amount of time. He's used to it. Give him the load.
Captain Pune very successful when they got to the playoffs. So.
The other thing is Rahane, let him get some runs. Let him get back into the Indian team. This is an important part of his career right now, I feel. If he doesn't want to slide down too much further. He needs to get some runs. and for his own individual playing career, get back in the Indian side. Just worry about that. Never mind the captaincy.
There's no doubt though he needs runs, Ajinkya, just for his confidence at the moment.
And from now on, Rajasthan also need to win all their games. Though mathematically they can lose one game and yet qualify if they were to win the remaining 4 that they have out of the 5 they are yet to play. But talking about making comebacks, we were talking about Ajinkya making a comeback into the Indian team, but we'll talk about a comeback within the Rajasthan Royals, and that is Stuart Binney. Now he's made a sort of a comeback. Didn't have a great time in the first couple of games that he played, but after that has been rather good both with the bat and the ball. He's, we're talking about getting back into confidence. He's one guy who's got that. Was it that one knock that he played which has now given him that confidence?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, I think he's obviously, for some reason, fallen out of favour over the last couple of seasons, maybe not played enough. But someone who can bat and bowl, okay, his bowling's batting, he's a batting all-rounder who can give you a few overs. But he's got that firepower towards the sort of bottom order, lower middle order, which if he can get going, makes a difference. So, look, you need as many options as you can, especially Indian ones in good form. And you need to fit those pieces in. So it's good. It's a good thing for them that form sometimes brings that confidence.
Okay, one thing that we saw with Stuart Binney, yes, he's a batting all-rounder, but bowled those 3 overs in the power play to begin with. That's how Stephen Smith used him, very different to how Ajinkya was using him. Do you see him play a similar role? Because if he could contain the likes of Rohit Sharma, Quinton de Kock, surely he can do it with Prithvi Shaw.
Yeah,
and
I mean, there might be a game where he'll go the journey. But I thought, again, that's another example of Steve Smith. I thought he used him really well. I think he bowled his 3 overs and that was enough.
Yes.
He did his job. So, I mean, Stuart Binney's one of those guys. He's been tossed around a little bit. He's gone there. He's been left out of teams, in and out of teams. When I was at Rajasthan, he was often in and out quite a bit. He had some time at Mumbai and Bangalore and whatever. So it's good that the Royals have showed faith in him at this stage of his career, keeping him in the squad because he's a handy player. He can hit down the lower order as well. He's a good hitter.
Yeah.
So I think to keep him in their side now for the rest of the tournament might be the best thing to do.
The one other talking point could have been Ashton Turner. There were talks that he's had 2 games, not very successful. Livingston was the other option, but they've persisted with him, clearly giving him a longer.
Yeah, I'm actually glad they have.
They have. Okay.
Didn't really get much of a chance.
I mean, if you, it's one thing if you're in good form and getting starts and then throwing it away. It's not. I mean, we've seen what he's done to India in recent times when Australia came over here. And they need that lower sort of hitting ability, lower middle order or middle order. And especially if you won a game, that is when it affords to give a bit more leeway to a guy who's not in form.
To be fair, even Livingston came in against Mumbai, was it?
Yeah.
And got out first or second ball. So it's been a bit of a
not much to choose from. But yes, as Ajit says, we all remember that knock that Ashton Turner played against India. Very, very good. Okay, this is the playing 11 for Delhi Capitals. They've made one change, and that is a very interesting one. Chris Morris comes in, but Sandeep Lamichhane goes out. I remember, Sean, you were of the opinion that Chris Morris should come in, but did you want Lamichhane to be out?
Well, now you sort of look at it now and you go, well, if Rutherford's going to be at 6, if he's not there, then who is your number 6? So the batting becomes a bit thin.
Especially Morris hasn't done much
with
his
With the bat.
No, he hasn't at all. He hasn't, and he's capable of doing that. But I think on this, at Rajasthan, I think Morris is a good option. I think his bowling, he's pretty good. I mean, last game wasn't great, but he's been pretty good. So I like the fact that he's in. But again, you like Lamichhane as well. So, but on this wicket, if it's not going to turn, that's the thing with Rajasthan. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Not sure if this one's going to.
Yeah.
And maybe it is a good move.
The last match that we saw, and we can only take that as something, to look back at how the wicket is going to play. It did have those green patches, but once the match played out, it looked deceptive. It wasn't really quick, wasn't coming onto the ball. So the common consensus was that this is going to be a turning track. You would have expected then for them to play 3 spinners, but they haven't.
No, and evening games, you tend to... Generally, if the pitch is good, it obviously starts getting better. If it lasts the 40 overs, it only gets better when you chase. I mean, that's why most teams prefer chasing. There's a little bit of dew around. No, I think it's the conditions which have played a part. I mean, obviously gives them a bit more batting or batting depth. They'd want Morris to really step up. He's a big player, or he's capable of being that big player.
There's every chance. I mean, if Smith said the wicket looks good, there's every chance that they got to the ground, looked at it and went, no, we need Morris.
Is it possible different strips behave differently in a ground? Could that be the case?
I mean, there's certain grounds where one half of the square is different to the other half. They use the other half for, say, certain games, test matches, and the other half for whatever else. So there are some grounds where it can be a little bit different.
Mumbai played in the afternoon though. They played a 4 o'clock game,
Yeah.
so that's completely different. I mean, that's when someone like a Stuart Binney can be a lot more effective with the slowness of the pitch. Sometimes in the afternoon.
I think the difference in the Rajasthan square, I think I don't know the details, but I know from playing there, some wickets used to skip through, and then the next time you come on as a low. So it is.
So do you reckon, as he says, it's mostly for the batting cover for Chris Morris? Yes, he was great for them in the death overs, but we saw Ishan do that rather well. I mean, there were question marks whether Ishan would be able to do that. Last game he did that.
No, I think it's primarily the bowling that they've strengthened with the conditions in mind. I don't think it's for his batting. I mean, if they start, the contributions are always good lower down, but if they have to rely on his batting, they're in trouble. Yeah. They need runs from the top order. The top 4 or 5 guys have to get most of the job done.
One question I still have on Lamichhane, but before that we'll head towards our poll of the day, and this is related to Sandeep Lamichhane. Morris for Lamichhane, what do you think? If you're watching us on our Facebook Live, do cast in your vote. We'll have the results a little later. The one thing that goes in favour of Lamichhane, Sean, is that irrespective of the conditions, yes, we're talking condition specific. I was just looking at his record. All the games that he's played this season, irrespective of the ground that he's played, he's picked up a lot of wickets for them.
That's the thing, and like you said before as well, off air, that he's been the leading wicket taker in all T20s around the world.
This year, yes. So ahead of Rashid Khan.
Yeah, so obviously any conditions, he's a pretty handy bowler. But you know what? Sometimes a lot of the time in the IPL, guys get left, especially overseas. There's only 4 overseas players. Guys get left out when they're doing well. I remember getting the sack after taking 3 for 20, and this, this still
that's
happens
the balance
sometimes.
of the team at the moment, isn't it? I mean, if Morris was batting better, they might have fit both Morris and
then Rutherford
Lamichhane,
goes out.
and Rutherford goes out. But I don't think Morris is batting well enough at the moment.
Yeah, the word dropped sometimes as a player. You've almost got to let it. It's like it's not dropped. It's just.
All right, we'll now turn our attention to our second talking point, and that is Sanju Samson in the power play. Now, if you take a look at his record overall, he does rather well in the power play. He's one of those guys who gets you really quick starts. This is the fastest starters in power play in IPL since 2017, and he's in the top 5. That sort of a stat is the reason, Ajit, you reckon that he's now been pushed as the opener. He was batting number 3, number 4, then of course was out injured, but has now pushed him at the right spot, you reckon?
Yeah, I guess you're missing Butler as well. So, that's a massive loss. I mean, he was winning games for them on his own at the top of the orders. We've seen Samson, he's a class player. He's possibly not, I mean, he's got runs every IPL. Perhaps not as many as, Rajasthan or people who follow cricket, Indian cricket would want him to be as consistent. But the strike rate is there. There is a tendency for that strike rate to drop if he does play a big innings and obviously explodes towards the end. So why not give him that opportunity? I mean, he's got the game to face the new ball, has got the shots against, whether it's quick bowling or spin bowling. So hopefully they've found a spot for him.
This is his wins phase wise, and as you can see, it's the first bit that is rather good. The strike rate is there, and then drops, as Ajit was mentioning, it drops down 228. Of course, in the end, it's any batsman who's batting in those 16 to 20 overs. It's going to be.
To be honest, I think every time we've done this, it's been the same. Every player
for every player
through the middle is a bit slower, and at the end,
I mean, 128, 129 almost is not that bad, really.
In that phase.
I in fact thought it might be a bit lower than that. I mean, there might be a few innings where he's sort of lost a little bit of momentum with the starts that he's got, but clearly it's not as bad as it seems to be. But
all right,
they'll want, considering they have to win most of their games or all their games. He becomes a big player for them at the top of the order.
Right, they need an explosive start as well, especially with Ajinkya Rahane at the other end. He's not the one that will go boom boom right from the start. Usually takes his time in that position. You may just have Sanju Samson do that job of getting you lots of runs in the power play. Okay, we're turning our attention to the next discussion point, and that is RR batsmen. They're grappling with spin troubles. Now, if you take a look at the stats as well, this is team batting versus spin, and Rajasthan are second in that list of how they've not been doing well against the spinners. They've lost 22 wickets. Bangalore is the only other team to have lost more wickets in 2019. That again, I mean, it just, Ajit, brings me back to the question of Lamichhane. What do I do? Everything is in support of,
Yeah, but I think Delhi are a bit stuck because of the batting. You don't want your batting to be too thin. Morris hasn't got enough. I don't think Akshar Patel's in my opinion, a good enough number 6. So you've got to want that extra batsman.
Rutherford at 6, if he's batting there, it's like, okay, he's capable, but we don't know really.
Yeah,
You know,
completely,
he's
yeah.
not-
So to play an extra bowler in Lamichane who doesn't really bat, yeah, it's a tough one, especially considering Rajasthan's quite a big ground as well for any spinner. Most spinners would like bowling on bigger grounds to have a chance, but looks like the conditions have played a part and also the balance of the team.
The other option, I don't know, I'm just trying to look at options. If you really needed to play spinners, you have a Tewatia also waiting in the ranks. He's a decent batsman, could have been, I mean, I'm looking at a foreigner, but if you really needed a batsman, bowler, he could be the one guy. Looking at the condition, and I'm saying this because Delhi Capitals in this season have been notorious for misreading the conditions.
Yep. Well, yeah, I mean, there's lots of options you could go through there. I mean, I'm sure they've got their reasons for it.
And they're
Yeah,
worse
I mean,
off
the leg
against
spin-
leg spinners.
Leg
Yeah.
spinners,
That's why I mentioned Tewatia as well. They're worse
Yeah,
off.
I mean, yeah, obviously, but
I
again,
think most teams around the world are bad against leg spin at the moment. Sorry,
yeah.
Sean.
Oh, exactly, yeah. But sometimes if you've got it there and then the guy's bowling well in the net, so he's performing really well, it's like we have to get him in. But look, I mean, Morris might have had a niggle last game. They might have wanted Morris in the whole time. He might have had a niggle last game.
Yeah.
It's sore. We'll leave him out. You don't know. You don't know those details. So.
Well, what one thing is certain is that definitely Ricky Ponting and sort of Ganguly are not watching ESPN Cricinfo and the stats that we present. Had they been doing that, they definitely would have played a leg spinner against Rajasthan Royals. Okay, we've got the poll result. Let's listen in to what the viewers also have to say. We asked you a question: getting Morris in for Lamichane right move, and 59% say no, 41 say yes. So that's, I mean, even Stevens, I'd say not too much of a difference there. Enough Chris Morris fans as well. He's done rather well with the ball for Delhi Capitals. In fact, we are looking at the numbers. He's the best there has been in the death over for any team. Who will win today? That's the next poll that we've got going on Facebook. Pretty easy one. Rajasthan or Delhi. Do cast in your vote. We'll have those results right at the end. Okay, now the next discussion point. It's Delhi Capitals, not really great against quick fast bowling. This also is similar to, as you saying, not everyone's good against leg spinner. I don't know of too many batsmen who are good against raw pace. And so this stat shows as well. They've lost 42 wickets, most by any team in this IPL. And we're looking at pace. Just looking at this team though, they apart from Jofra Archer, there isn't really a quick bowler that's really going to trouble the Delhi Capitals. Unadkat and Dhaval Kulkarni, not so.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know what raw pace means really. I mean, 140k plus, I think Dhaval Kulkarni, those guys bowl well with the new ball. It's a strange stat actually. I mean, obviously, seam bowlers have had more success than spinners,
Yeah.
but
That's when you say raw pace. There isn't that many raw pace.
bowlers in the world.
But we've got
Archer's the fastest.
Yeah,
so
we've got this sort of
140K,
140 plus K bowlers, and
well, the good thing for Rajasthan is that Archer's 149, 150.
yeah, Archer is.
So
yes,
they've got
he's the
that.
exception.
So his 4 overs are going to obviously be very telling. Yeah.
Yeah, and those, I mean, if you look at those top 5 batsmen, you can get 2 or 3 out, and particularly Rishabh Pant in that, and suddenly Delhi could struggle to chase totals down. They don't, I mean, you can have Morris at number 6 or 7 or 8, but you don't quite expect them to, against quality fast bowling. It's one of those things actually, I mean, you don't realize that they've been getting out to seam bowlers a lot more.
The only sort of an exception there was Prithvi Shaw. He's done rather well against fast bowlers. Not so much again. I keep repeating that because that's what every stat says. He's the only one who's rather susceptible when it comes to leg spin bowling as well. So Shreyas Gopal, I mean, he'd be the guy to target him. To
Yeah, I mean, they'll have to firstly get enough runs for that too. Yeah, Prithvi at the top of the order is used to playing pace, so you expect...
but his Achilles heel is a leg
stats,
spinner.
And I understand stats play a huge role in cricket, but sometimes you can sit there and look at stats. But when you're actually running a team or playing for the team, it's like you just got to turn up on the day and play well. The wicket is making a big difference. So stats come out of the game. Some of these stats doesn't say is it a flat wicket, is it a slow wicket, is it turn, is it? So the wicket, the conditions, the dew, a lot of things come into account as well. So stats are fantastic, but sometimes you can look into them too much. And coaches like Ricky Ponting and Saurav probably sit there and go, no, we back you in to do well tonight. Sometimes that comes into it.
And Rajasthan, I mean, from my memory, it's been a while back, and I know there have been certain wickets where there's gripped and spun, and especially against RCB, Shreyas Gopal got those wickets. Maybe Mumbai, it was an afternoon game. But in general, spinners don't have a huge impact apart from the size of the ground. Good spinners will bowl well in most conditions. So seam bowlers seem to be the preferred choice in Jaipur. I mean, he's played more than me in Jaipur. T20 cricket for sure.
Since you're talking about Savai Mansingh, we've got those stats as well, pace versus spin and how the bowlers have performed, and you can clearly see it is, your fast bowlers who've picked up, no, the average though for spinners is
better.
Yeah, it's better. But I'm assuming also, I don't know, maybe spinners are bowled less than compared to
Exactly.
almost
So
half.
Yeah, almost half there. So that's a major difference. The other thing, as Ajit mentioned, Sean, is also the size of the boundaries. Is this one of the bigger
It's a bigger
grounds?
ground.
Yeah.
It's a bigger ground. There's no doubt about that. You see, when the good sloggers at the end come to play here, they've really got to put in a decent effort to get it over the line. Whereas some of the grounds, Chinnaswamy and these places, it's just a bit of a clip.
So ones and twos, that's what most non-boundaries runs scored in a ground. Jaipur is right there, and this is this down to the pitch or is it down to the size of the boundary?
No, size of the ground for sure. I think it's still a good pitch. There are big scores at this venue, but clearly Chennai and Jaipur and Hyderabad, those three biggest grounds. Mohali can be a bit tricky at times. Straight boundaries are not as big, but this one is. I mean, I remember playing against Rajasthan Royals and when Shane Warne was captain, and he made sure that the boundaries were as far back as possible.
That helps if you've got a spinner as a captain.
I'm sure it helps. I don't think he needed much help from boundaries, the bowler that he was. But I'm just saying, those sorts of things make a huge difference, and that's the advantage Rajasthan Royals usually took. And it gives every bowler a chance. That's why we'll have to wait and see what the conditions are like. If it does spin, then it's a bad move by Delhi.
I'm just, because the ground is such, you need more ones and twos. I'm just looking at the two teams right now. Do you think it's more suited then to Rajasthan as it should? Because I'm just looking at the batting lineup. Delhi's got more of those boundary hitter sort of a batsman, whereas you've got in Rajasthan those batsmen who can make use of those twos and threes.
Good point. Yep. Delhi are explosive batting lineup, and a lot of the Delhi guys, some of them can't help themselves, so they're just going to go off anyway. There might be a couple of guys getting caught in the deep tonight.
Even batsmen from Bombay who've travelled to Delhi. Prithvi Shaw, an example.
Bombay batsmen's breed has changed. It's completely. I think everyone.
Prithvi Shaw is a case in point.
Everyone around India, any batsman around the world these days is an attacking batsman. There are very few who were conventional batters.
But if you've got Smith and Rahane, these guys playing, then they should use it to their advantage.
Yeah, but talking about the Delhi batting, as we were talking about, they're aggressive batsmen, tend to hit a lot of boundaries. If there's one batsman who can make use of these conditions at Savai Mansingh and get you those twos and threes, it's Shikhar Dhawan. You look at his international experience as well. He's done that role. You'd say Ajit in international cricket too. Sometimes not the quickest of starters. If Rohit's on flow, he tends to get you those 2 and 3s, and that experience might just help him.
Yeah, he's batted a bit differently. I mean, he's not come into this competition with great form. Has played a couple of really important innings though for Delhi Capitals.
This is his year record. So averaging roughly the same, but that's also because didn't have a great start. Last few games have been good in that.
Yeah, but you look at his history of his IPL, very similar numbers. So it's not. I mean, 2016 is really low, the strike rate, but otherwise, it's sort of similar numbers, and that's the way he bats. I think for India, in fact, Rohit sometimes takes a little bit of time, and he's the one who's a lot more aggressive at the start. They must be happy that he's struck some sort of form, because he's becomes an important player. One, a left-hander at the top of the order, and we know he can bat deep, especially with the way Prithvi Shaw or Shreyas Iyer. Shreyas Iyer has batted a lot more sensibly than I have seen him bat before. Maybe captaincy has done that to him, or maybe the coach has had a quiet word. But
so these are the two Shikhar Dhawans we've seen. Shikhar Dhawan the first 6 matches, and then Shikhar Dhawan 2.0 in the last 4 matches. Sean, there's a clear difference there in terms of his average, his strike rate. Is it down to Ricky Ponting letting him know?
Yeah, he came out and said he needs to get a move on. Sometimes you do need that. Even the star players, Shikhar Dhawan, star player for a long time. Sometimes you need a guy like a coach and thing is, a coach has to be confident to tell a star that as well, which obviously Ponting's got the credentials behind him, so it's a bit easy for him to come out and say, I've told Shikhar to give a kick up the backside and get moving. Yeah,
you need a reminder. Sometimes they let go of 3 players to get one Shikhar Dhawan, expecting he'd be the guy that everyone revolves around. Didn't happen in the first 6 games, but now, eventually.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a good time to strike form as well. Business end of the tournament, they're still not qualified. They want to try and get a few wins. And he's such an experienced player. You need your experienced guys to stand up at this stage of the tournament. That's why you invest in them. That's why even if they have a few poor innings at the start, you persist with those guys because you know once they strike form, could help the team win more games.
And if Delhi, because they are chasing today, if they really need to win, you want Shikhar Dhawan to fire because this is Shikhar Dhawan batting first versus batting second, and it's batting second that he's averaging rather well. Also, probably maybe those 6 games that we looked at came towards the time that they were batting second. Do you think that actually helps him play the role better of being the mentor of sorts? Because when you have a target in mind, then you can play that mentorship role. When you're batting first, you really want to get a go.
Yeah, some guys. I remember, some guys used to talk about that they prefer knowing the sort of rate they've got to go at and how they're going to start their innings if they're chasing in total. Some guys did find it hard at times, changing up and down gears when they were setting a total. So it could well be.
All right, completely out of time. Before live action begins, it is time for you to make your selection. Play selectors. It's the Fab Four. Who'd want to go first? Who won the quiz today?
Ajit.
Okay, so then Sean, you
I've
start.
been absolutely terrible at this team. I've got 37 one.
So you could go first. Okay, those are the
So I'm gonna
teams.
start
This
picking
is
up
Rajasthan.
guys that, I'm going to go Jofra Archer, and it's going to be one of these guys at the top. Sanju Samson.
Samson.
All right, I'm going to go. Oh, sorry, he's picked 2, isn't it?
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
But just keep yours in mind.
No.
Actually, I'll take Shikhar, and I always usually pick Rabada, so I'll stick with Rabada.
Rabada. Okay, that's a good
Okay,
selection.
let me go Prithvi Shaw today. Just fellow Mumbaikar, nothing else.
I was thinking about picking him. I like
No,
him.
I thought you looked at our stats. He's done well.
I was going to
against
pick him as well. I like him anyway. Kicker.
And let's go Chris Morris now that they've brought him back. And for Rajasthan, I'm going to go Ashton Turner.
That is an inspiring pick. Interesting.
We've got Naval Kulkarni to get me a couple of wickets.
Whoa! Unusual
Just,
selection.
should I
must
just
say.
should I just
You-
pick
you-
Mumbai players?
Yeah. Is it also because of fellow Mumbaikar you've picked him? Okay, interesting. This is going to be
Well,
more conventional.
He's got Rabada and Jofra Archer. He's not left anyone.
Yes.
Oh, no, it's
No,
terrible.
you could have taken the second
Yeah,
if you
but-
want, but you want to make it competitive. Okay, but it's interesting team, contrasting teams that we've got between Sean Tate and Ajit Agarkar. Before we wind up, here's a quick look at the poll result. The question that we asked you, rather simple, who will win today between Rajasthan and Delhi? 58% say Delhi, 42% say Rajasthan. Also on expected lines, just looking at where these two teams stand in the points table. Thank you so much for your company, Sean Tate, Ajit Agarkar. You are watching ESPN Cricinfo Matchday. We'll see you now mid innings.